Hi guys, so I did little groupings again, and the first group, oddly enough, which I thought was beautiful, had the eagle rhodiola, which we both had yesterday in yesterday's reading. So if this reading resonates with you, maybe check that out. I'll link it in below in the description. And we also have justice. So with the eagle, we talked about the eagle being, about new beginnings and taking those new opportunities, because the eagle, flies really high and they have like clarity of sight. They have that deeper vision. And they also have that braveness of taking that step, right? It's also about having the courage to understand that you have the ability to soar in those heights. Remember, rubbing wings with spirit. And then rhodiola, it's about magic, being a wisdom keeper, purity, higher consciousness, clarity, intuitive intellect, and enchantment. And this is Uranus and Mercury. It's also unicorn magic. So it's about being a gatekeeper, ancient protectors of the forest. And Uranus and Mercury together represent really having that knowledge and that ability to think quickly, but not being easily swayed one side or the other. They believe in what they believe because they've checked the boxes, right? They're very much the analyst, but in a very kind of creative way. They're very good at figuring out the things, but they see it in their own way because they're fiercely independent. And I think that's beautiful. Just one of my favorite combinations. And again, it's like having like that brilliant insight without being biased, and, knowing what you know because you know it, not because somebody else told you. So I feel like that's saying with the eagle, this is saying that whatever, you're being enlightened to, or whatever, this thing that is kind of giving you that enchantment, like the thing that's giving you that excitement and pushing you to open your wings and fly, is beautiful. It's something that, can bridge barriers between other people too, especially with the justice here. I feel like this reading it's bigger, but I hope I can put it into things that I'm trying to think. Justice a lot of times can also be, a lot of times we think of it as balance. Sometimes people think of justice as, that person is going to get justice. But a lot of times I like the grace aspect of it. It's having the understanding of your inner and outer world and being able to see that bigger picture, right? Like the eagle, being able to bridge the opposing forces, right? I've been getting that message a lot for myself. Being the bridge between people who are unable to see the other side, whether that's yourself and the aspect of something. Right now it's asking you to kind of look at that, really kind of find the ways that you can kind of bridge the gaps, right? And when we think of zodiac signs and justice, we think of who? We think of Libra, right? The balance, the scale. And my daughter, my middle daughter, is a very heavy Libra, and she like embodies it all the way. And she hates conflict. She tries to see the good in everything, but a lot of times that gives her a lot of inner conflict. But on the good side, this is somebody who's able to kind of look back a little bit. Being a Libra, they're driven by Venus, so they have that emotional aspect, but they're also a very mental and airy quality type sign. So this is having that loving understanding, which can sometimes give us a little bit of conflict, but at the best, it gives us that understanding that everybody's coming from a different point of view, and having that eagle-eye view and that non-bias judgment is what makes justice what it is. And so the second little group that I have, that's kind of like my area that we need to work on. And we have the Rainmaker. I believe that's number 42. And this is about being that co-creator. The Rainmaker is the master of manifestation who can call on the elements of nature to serve the greater good. When the power to co-create is used with integrity, great beauty and benefit flow to all. When this power is used for personal gain only, everyone suffers. When the earth is parched, the Rainmaker calls the waters from the heavens, and all that is dormant in the fields and in people's hearts springs to life again. And it says, Rainmaker is calling to you to create something new from the elements that are already in your life. Be sure you work with what is and not with what might be or what could have been. The seeds that have been silently germinating in your heart will burst forward, ready for the sunlight. Do not hold back. Put all your chips on the next roll of the divine dice. So I feel like this is saying, It's like when you see 369 constantly or 639 or whatever. When you see those constantly, or like you're like, oh, this is a good time for me to pay attention to my words, which that brings me to the crow later. It's beautiful. But yeah, I think this is understanding the responsibility that we have, especially with number 44 in Valerian as acceptance. This is order, loosening, acceptance, embracing imperfection, and persistence. It's also about flow. I feel like with acceptance being with the Rainmaker, I think this is accepting the responsibility, which is a big part of justice also. This is accepting the responsibility of the things that we do and the things that we say, and we understand how that shapes our reality. Whether you want to think about it spiritually or whether you want to think about it physically. Think about it. If you tell yourself every day that you're a certain type of person, you start to change into that type of person, right? Your reality really does become what you say and do. That'll bring us to the crow. Reading is just crazy how it's all flowing together. But anyway, so yeah, the Valerian is one of those that it says in the guidance, it says Valerian supports by widening our trigger points and helping us to zoom out, like the eagle, of a situation that might be overloading us with anxiety and stress. Remember to go easy on yourself. Don't push yourself too hard to meet goals. Valerian remedies the internal parts of ourselves that can embody that mouse energy, which is kind of like that scarcity and, fear energy. That fear that something's happening or somebody's ruining or taking away something from us. And it says when we're overly analytical and judgmental and in high trigger mode, the message here is to take measure. Although your foundation can be established with greater order, there's a certain amount of flow needed in order to enjoy creativity and growth. Don't exhaust yourself in the details. Embrace your imperfections. And that, I think, is having that ability. I think accepting these things is a big part of justice as well. But, being in that understanding that, we can kind of like affect things, having that strategy and being that master co-creator with that acceptance of responsibility and acceptance of our issues, you know what I mean? Like accepting of what makes me maybe not meet that goal. How can I strategize to change that, right? And if you are somebody who's looking for a bigger purpose to help the greater good, then how can you put that into play, right? And so then we have our third little row, which I like to think of this row as, what our allies are, what our skills are, what we can do. And we have the crow. So the crow, which I've talked about, the crow before, is about talking your talk and walking your walk. It's hugely about, minding what you say and what you do, because it really does help you co-create. You are a powerful co-creator, just like in the previous card. So I think this is emphasizing, hey, pay attention, because you have the ability, and sometimes we can use that ability in a negative way, so don't do that. But the other two cards we have in here is we have number 54 with ashwagandha, which is purpose. This is North Node and the moon. So whether you're somebody who has the North Node in your moon, or a lot of times North Node can also be thought of as our North Star, right? This is kind of like polar opposites. So there's a lot of balance in here as well. Our North Node is kind of like that purpose that you're going for. Our South Node represents kind of where we've been and where we've kind of like where we're okay in, right? Because a lot of times your South Node is where you are comfortable at home, where you are yourself away from the outside. And the North Node challenges you. Your North Node is what your life is supposed to be meant to kind of embrace. You know what I mean? So I feel like this is saying, with understanding that ability with the crow and with the Rainmaker, that we have that ability to create our environment, and with the perception that we have as the eagle, and with justice has such a beautiful ability to have an understanding of the situation. I feel like this is kind of a purpose. This is somebody's power. This is somebody who has the ability to step back, see both sides of something, and really make something of it, whether this is something personally or something on a bigger scale. And then if you look at the Eight of Swords, a lot of times, that can be like being busy and overthinking and kind of putting too much into things. I kind of feel like this also is about understanding that we can block those things, those fears or whatever. So as this being a skill and being something that is an asset in this row, I really feel like this is saying with the Eight of Swords, we have that ability to kind of block that other aspect, all these other opinions and all these other things that kind of overwhelm us mind-wise. Because if you look at a lot of these other cards, we have Mercury in there, and I love saying Mercury and Uranus because it's funny, but also because I love that combination, because it's beautiful. This is being able to block out all those extra crap when people are like, oh, well, this is, this isn't right because this is how I believe, and this isn't right, this is how I believe. That's how wars are started. Not to get too political, but it's just ridiculous that we're at this day and age and people are not understanding that we're all, trying to explain the same thing. And if you're trying to say that there's this beautiful creator that loves us so much, why does anybody think that it just means them? That's just so selfish and egotistic. Anyway, I'm done. But I feel like with these swords, this is saying that you're able to block out all that extra noise and just focus on the important parts, right? And I think that's the ability that we have. And we have the ability to walk our walk and talk our talk. If you're somebody who's independent and you're okay with that, you're okay with not being perfect, or you're okay with not being, on the status quo, that's a superpower right there. You are living in your purpose if you are being 100% you and walking your walk and talking your talk. And I feel like that's what this is saying, is use that superpower. Because why do people take ayahuasca, right? They take that to understand the deeper truth, and the lenses are off. It allows people to see things as they are. And I feel like this is somebody or a collective that has that ability. And so then we go to my last little column, and then we have the Gatherer. I love that card. It's another one of my favorites. This is also talking about, being able to use what's around you. So in shamanism, they like to talk about the time before we were takers. This was a time when we didn't cultivate large plains of one type of vegetable or one type of fruit. This is when we didn't have all agriculture, because unfortunately, because we kind of are at a point where we really need it, but agriculture took away a lot of the natural processes. Back then, hunter and gatherers, they literally hunted and gathered. They took what they need from the earth, but they gave back in the way that they left things how they were. They thought of everything as having a purpose and working together in unison. And so the gatherers, these were the people that they knew where to find things. They knew how to take things so it wouldn't devastate the land. They knew to take just what they needed. They had an understanding of what was available around them. And then if you want to look at the essence says, before we cultivated grains and we collected the wild bounty of nature, the gatherer finds abundant seeds, nuts, berries, and wild greens where ordinary person sees only barren soil. The gatherer is the provider, the forager, the gardener who collects the roots and vegetables for the long winter when the game is scarce. She does not hoard, trusting the bounty around her. And it's just telling you to look at what you have around you. Don't create more problems, right? I feel like this is saying, whoever this is about, whether it's a collective or a person, I feel like this is saying you have that ability to take the essence in a responsible and careful way, in a balanced way, and use that to nourish, whether this is for yourself or for something you're working on or for a collective, and we're nourishing others. I feel like this is definitely what this is talking about. And then we have number 17 with go to Collette, which is higher consciousness, ruled by Mercury and the moon. And this talks about being the hermit, the solitude, the soul searching, the realization, the greater knowing, and the enlightenment. I don't feel like this is so much about the hermit part. I feel like it's more about the hermit when the hermit emerges. This is having that knowledge because you went within, you've had the depths, you know what I mean? You were able to look deep down inside and, contemplate. You have that ability to kind of look a little bit deeper, because like I said, with the Eight of Swords, we're able to kind of put those blinders on and ignore all those things, right? She's not really in danger, and we're ignoring all those painful emotions and those nonsense around us to kind of get to the truth. And I feel like that's what this is saying. Being able to take what you already have and expand on it, being the gatherer of knowledge and, nourishing others with that. And so then we also have the Wheel of Fortune, which, a lot of times the Wheel of Fortune, that can mean like a positive new beginning or the ending of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. But it can also be like having that understanding of how the wheel works. So the wheel works, you know, we can either let it ride and then kind of let things flow and kind of learn our lessons that way. And then we kind of, you know, are able to stop things the next time something comes around because we've been through that, but we didn't resist so much. When you resist the wheel, you kind of push things back, or you don't really learn the lessons. So you kind of have to go through the certain things over and over again. The wheel is also understanding the role that we have with spirit, right? This is a lot of higher consciousness as well. Understanding how the wheel works is understanding how spirit works. This is, you know, having conversations with God, basically saying, you know, oh, hey, I get this. Okay, I'll let you, I'll let you take the wheel, you know, right? Universe, take the wheel. And then, you know, just kind of working with that. So I feel like that's what this is saying, you know, using your wisdom and your ability to co-create, but also that massive higher perspective where you get it, right? And then not allowing all that bullcrap to kind of get in your way and to dilute your truth, and then speaking that truth. So I hope this helped somebody today. I was kind of a little all over the place, but I just, when I get really excited, sometimes like I lose words and my mind talks faster than my mouth. So, but that's just who I am. And I hope this was good for you guys, and I will talk to you later.